Hey guys, so welcome to the first episode of the podcast. And today we're gonna touch upon my most intense experience I had in my spiritual road that I've been walking. But before I do that, I would like to mention something that really led me to this road of spiritualism, of self discovery. And going back 15 years, I was not in a very good place in life, and everything was just spiraling out of control. Where I started to look for solutions, I started to look for people that maybe had the same or similar experiences as I was having at that moment. And what I had discovered is that looking back in my life, the darkest places, the darkest times I've been involved in many things. For example, when I had issues with money, when I had issues with girlfriend, school, you name it. I had so many things going on. It was all going very bad. And I notice now that in those dark moments, the most beautiful things would come out of. Because due to these dark spots, dark places that I've been in life, I learned a lot. And it has taught me a lot of things about life, about myself, creation, and that is something that we have to learn to embrace our own darkness, our own shadows. And this will also facilitate growth, to evolve as a person, to understand things, maybe even from a different angle that you might have not understood before. You might have not even known that this was there, and it was there for you to learn, for you to take that extra step to go to the direction that you have to go. So going back 15 years ago, I lived with a girlfriend in The Hague, in the Netherlands at that moment. And I was really spiritual in the sense that I used to meditate almost daily, and sometimes I would meditate for two hours, and I would use different techniques to achieve different things. For example, I would do regressive hypnosis. I would do meditation to quiet the mind. I would do certain meditations to deal with the energy inside my body. But for me, this didn't really give me a sense of meaning to life. Because what I notice now is that all of this fed the ego, fed my ego. Look what I can do. Look what I can do. If I do this for this amount of time, I will achieve this, I will achieve that. At the end of the day, all these spiritual teachings from many different people, many different religions as well, led me to nowhere, basically. And it was creating a hole in my heart. I felt more empty. I knew so much, yet it meant nothing. And it meant nothing because I didn't know myself. And that's all, everything comes back to knowing yourself. Because everything starts with yourself first. It's about looking in the mirror. Well, one day I decided to just connect with myself. And I didn't know how to do it. But I did run into a gentleman that had a similar experience, was going through a similar quest of self-discovery. And what he did is he would meditate, and he would envision himself opening his heart, opening his heart center. And so I decided to do that. And I remember myself, we had a sofa bed that we opened, and at that moment I was just looking at the sky, just relaxing a bit before I went deep into my own self-discovery. And I closed my eyes and I started to visualize myself physically opening this with my hand. And one of the most beautiful things happened. because in that moment I remember as I meditated, I quiet the mind. I tried not to think too much, but to feel the body, feel my energy, feel my heart. And what this led to is, what I remember is having this whole experience where at first it felt as if you are in a cave, and when you're in a cave it's dark, it's cold, it's empty. And as I consciously connected and I opened this physical, it felt like a physical barrier that I opened with my arms, with my hand in my mind. I was physically imagining that. And instantly this beautiful light came out of my heart, my center, my core. And it was as if I came out of that cave in the middle of the day, sunshine basically, and it was bright. it was very bright. And I recall my mind and my body just struggling to understand, comprehend what was going on. And my mind had 1,000 questions while my body was feeling a whole bunch of emotions. I was happy. I was happy to reconnect with myself. I was sad that I didn't experience this before. I was angry at this whole life that I didn't know this before, that it wasn't taught to me before. When I was younger, that this is what life is about. This is how you connect with yourself. And I also recall that my mind started to ask questions. And in that moment, when you connect with yourself, it's instant knowledge. It's, there is no discussions. What am I feeling? Because you're connecting with yourself. And I asked myself, when was the last time that I was consciously able to connect with my own spirit? When was that? And the answer I got from within myself was a long time. And then I asked, what is a long time? Is a long time maybe 2 million years ago? And the answer I got was, 2 million years does not even come close to the last time we as humans consciously were aware of this, connected to this level of with yourself. And I recall that my body just wasn't able to hold that space because there was so much energy emanating from myself, and my mind just couldn't handle it. And at that moment I woke up and I was full of energy. I remember just waking up from the meditation and almost crying of happiness, of joy, that I finally had something tangible to work with as a spiritual in the spiritual walk that I'm walking. And that was the most intense experience I had, because you are facing yourself, you are connecting with yourself, and it takes courage, it takes love, it takes understanding and trust that you will be fine. Because recalling that experience, looking back at that experience, I remember that during the experience I was even questioning, am I dead? Did I die? What is this? Did my heart stop? Because it felt a bit like death, but it wasn't. It was the disconnect between the physicality and the inner self. And part of this physical body had to be in a way switched off for me to be able to experience this at that level. And yeah, afterwards I realized that that is where I have to go, connecting with myself. And I have to go home to my heart, to our core. We have to go home. And we have to use this space that we call the mind. We have to use that to go home. Use your head to go home. And I will never forget this experience. And I learned a lot from it. And I'm sure people watching this, you will as well. And I will go deeper in another video as to how you can also achieve this. I just wanted to express a little bit my story of what I experienced. And painting a little bit more background is, at that moment, I was not in a good place. I was asking a lot of questions. I was in debt. I had issues with my girlfriend in that moment, at that time. Questioning life, nothing coming your way. And yeah, it was a very dark moment, a very dark stage in life for myself. And I'm glad that I went through it, because I would never have had this experience if I never would have gone through those darkness. And if you look at the yin and yang, it also tells us, it is, let's say if life is a circle, there's darkness and there's light. And even in darkness, you have light. That's what I experienced, is that light of myself, that the most beautiful thing you can experience is the love of yourself, your light. And also, in the most beautiful things in life, looking at the yin and yang, in the light aspect, you have a bit of darkness. You can't have one without the other. It is a song of life. It is a balance, a beautiful balance. And it really taught me to trust myself, even though I'm in a dark spot any time of my life, it's gonna be okay and it's gonna be fine. And I also realized that everyone is chasing something. We're either chasing something or we're running away from something. But if we just stop for a minute or a few minutes and just look within, you have all the answers in the world. And it really starts with yourself. And I would like to finish off with mentioning that we can all do this. We all have that capacity within ourselves. And I know deep in my heart that we have all forgotten to achieve this level of connection with source, core, our heart. And it's really a small switch in the mind. And once you achieve this, it's very doable. And it starts with yourself. It starts with wanting to do it.